Much better is the leader by 3/4 to Garrison. Colino trying to squeeze through a gap and doing it now. Colino goes after much better. Colino put the head in front and Colino got up to beat much better.
Welcome to Bet Doctor Behind the Curtain. Look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host Scoot. I'm a little bit under the weather. I was in Cairns last week for a 40th. I was sort of crook before I went, but I sort of marched through, and I woke up after the Matildas win on Sunday morning and I didn't have a voice, so I'm doing well to communicate, so a big apology from me that I sound a bit hoarse, but Walt's back into the fold. It's good to see you, mate.
Oh, it's great to see you, Nick. So happy to see you, so happy to be here, so happy to be Australian. We've got to give them one victory, the English. Fuck, they had a few classes on us.
If we're going to lose something, I'm happy to lose the women's soccer. BZ's declared all our boys in the chat group England a couple of weeks ago. I don't know how he's found them. $3.50 favourite at the start of the tournament. So they look decided to beat. They look a bit leaky.
$2.40 last night, weren't they?
It's crazy. And they're still $1.95 out there now, I think, at TopSport. So I think they should be favourite. The other side of the draw, they look really flimsy. I think England are going to get Lauren James back, and I think they're going to win. But we're not a soccer show; we're a racing show. How are the boys in Melbourne? Obviously, watched the game last night.
Yeah, I was invested. You blokes, because all I saw on the thing, I'm watching Sam Kerr kick a goal, and all I could see was you blokes talking about the PB Lawrence. Had to put it on mute.
I was doing two things at once.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but they had their chance by the looks of things, didn't
certainly
they?
did. Listening to Tony, he says we had 21 entries and didn't convert, and they got 5 entries or something, kicked the goal. So, anyway. It was good fun, though, while it was on. The tournament was great. You didn't get to Fed Square this time?
No, not for this one. Had a few more pressing things. So, no, but it was good to see sort of Australia rally around the team like that. But huge weekend of racing this weekend. So the focus is back on the good sport at the moment.
Yeah, the good horses are back, so it's exciting, isn't it?
Couldn't believe the turnout down at Amy Park. Mark from the sports show was one of them. They all just sat in the stands with like big screens right in front of them.
25,000. 25,000 of them.
Oh, leave me well
Which
out.
was good they did it, because Fed Square, they had to shoo them away. It's like Fed Square was chock-a-block. So they said, can't go here. And if you want to go anywhere, go down to Amy Park. They got 25,000 in down there. It was big. It was big.
Not my go. Tell you what, Racing could probably learn a little bit about how to promote the females in sport. You got Annabelle moving to Melbourne. Gay's airborne. Her and Adrian Bott could just dominate all spring carnival. Carleen, my girl's going well, or Nico's girl, everyone's girl, not BC's. Celine Gaudre's up and about. Tatum Bull, obviously on Benedetta, and then Jamie Carr's back. So don't worry about the Matildas. Maybe all the wise guys or the smart heads down at Racing World need to figure out a way to market to more females, because I think looking at some of the bookie stats at Betfair and My Days, I think it runs sort of about 97% of the betting accounts are male, and I think those other 3%, it's probably 2.5% of the remaining 3% are burner accounts, and just need to get more women involved in racing. I remember when I was at Moonee Valley for a while, we were trying to get some champagne deals and stuff to offer to get more women to the track, because Moonee Valley was a real, I guess, male-centric track, as you sort of know, DK. There's not much doing out there. But, God, they didn't even jump at that Moonee Valley. I thought if you lure the women in with champagne, the good boys will just follow, and it's something that the NRL and the AFL have been doing for years, and obviously soccer's got this big head start, so all these women in racing probably need to be celebrated a lot more, and poor old Mitch Beery, he can't even get in the members, so there's a little bit to work on, and Nico, a Little Birdie tells me that you can't set up shop earlier than 30 minutes before the first at Sandown on the midweekers. What are they doing? They're just trying to kill off every last racing semi or pro from going to the track. Like, that's crazy, especially if you've driven an hour or two. You want to feed, you want to go to the toilet, and then you want to have a look at them in the yard. 30 minutes is a bit tight.
Yeah, I wouldn't advise getting a feed at Sandown, but anyway, I think we move on from that one because there's not much to offer there. But yeah, I think I would assume it's something to do with the staff on track. They probably don't want to pay them for as long, but it did seem a little bit odd when you have about 30 people or 20 people just waiting at the gate ready to get in prior to the first. But it's the way of the modern world, isn't it, DK? Cut back on cost everywhere by the seam of things.
Yeah, I mean, it seems trouble. Wouldn't it be 45 minutes instead of 30 minutes, making it tight for everyone? But there's obviously a reason behind it. And it's not the 10 race card, because that's on the weekends. It's a midweek. So, I mean, you're talking about 0.01% of the horse racing people affected, but still, it's people affected. So,
interesting one, and a nice little rort. There's not many of them left, but Richard Lamming got away with an absolute beauty. There's a horse called Name Dropper in at Eagle Farm yesterday in race 6. He didn't nominate James Orman until the morning of the race, so he got fined $200. That'd be in his glove box, I would have thought. And the horse was $26 into $5, went straight to the front and got the chocolates. I'm not sure why more trainers just don't do this. Obviously, the $200 fine is minuscule. If the horse has been $26 into $5, it serves up pretty interesting, I guess, integrity and obviously turnover issues too. Like obviously they're only on the rort. I guess it's a maiden. You can't really hide them much in trials, although they did try with this horse. And it's not just...
I went and had a look at that this morning. Geez, M. Harley did a good job on it. Oh, hey, do you go and watch it? First thing I do with that stuff, I go and watch the trial because you see it's run 8 beaten 10 lengths. So this must have been good. Oh, was it any good? The trial was a beauty. It's a shame he didn't get the race ride. But there was obviously the plan there for Jay Orman.
Bit of a boat race.
Yeah, I would have been happier if I took the 26 that Jay Orman was on instead of M. Harley, but he did a good job. Matty Scorch used to set him up for Chris Lees for that. Who were the owners? Wanless all the time.
Wanless, yeah.
They very rarely get the accolades on race day, but usually if they're
you get a big sling. They get a big sling out of it.
Yeah, that's what they're normally after.
He would have been well looked after him. If they got any money out of it. Like, I still question whether they did. You know, I know the Richard Lamming punters, he's got some mates who just pull the trigger on everything he tips early. And I know I try and get on early markets. I know some green lighted blokes who I try and help get on early markets. He just can't get on. Can't get on. They all get cut back. You know, they open the shutters. You can bet, have what you like on with 2 minutes, 3 minutes to go. And it was $3.50 to $7 on race day, wasn't it? I was around $7 on Betfair. Got into $3.50, back to $7 at the jump Betfair SP. 26, if you look at the old TAB flux, it was old 26.19. After 5 minutes, it was $5. Like, you know, how much money they got out of that?
There's different ways to get on. You got to get a little bit creative, but it's probably one of the better Lamming plunges. But I agree, DK, and I think I've even said on this show, if you're going to play poker with someone, Richard Lamming would be one of the first blokes you'd love to play against because they cannot keep a secret. But this one's probably a better one because when I first heard of the flux, I didn't realise there was no jockey nominated. So they did a really good job to, I guess, conceal that information, which leads me to another one. I guess I don't want to just hang out the Richard Lamming stable to dry, but Chris Waller's pretty keen on playing a little bit of jockey lotto. There's a horse that I like in the Winx Stakes. There was 7 unknown riders. So when you fire up your database, some of the databases go up and you look at the fields and the markets and things like that. Prices start moving and there's 7 unknown riders. So some of them are just blank, other call them dummy, and then prices moving. So there's a little bit of an integrity cloud there. And if everyone's looking for this turnover, well, here's some low-hanging fruit. Let people know who the riders are as soon as possible. And it's a funny one from, I guess, Chris Waller. He's become a very rich man from racing, and the people that pay his checks are punters. So it's a bit of a slap in the face, really, because I think he's probably got one of the best systems, or he'd be up there with the Gay Waterhouses and all that. He'd be so organised to manage hundreds of horses in his stables, and it's just not good enough, I think, from Chris Waller. It's been happening just forever and a day.
Yeah, I guess he hides. No one really thinks of Chris Waller as a punter, though, do they? I guess everyone looks at him and thinks he's a straight down the line businessman. Well, they do. Honestly, I'm not even joking. Like I think he's one of the few. There's people attached to him that you probably don't think the same of, but he sort of hides behind that a lot. So most of the people believe, these decisions are made due to, while waiting to see where they draw to see who the riders, and I'm looking after my owners. So I guess that he's got that cover, and for whatever reason, if it was a different stable or a different person, I remember even with my dramas, I got in trouble because I knew that a horse was going to be scratched allegedly. That was an aggravated issue of integrity. I was insider information that I knew a horse was going to be scratched, even though it ran the day before. So, was I privy to information, or do trainers? It's just, where do you draw the line? You just want consistency. That's what everyone wants, is every stable's treated the same. Things like that Lamming thing, should that be visited? There's Pandora's box everywhere you look at racing in the moment. Like, we look at whips and stuff, and it's just consistency's the key, and that's all you want. It's a punter especially.
Yeah, exactly. And there's just some low-hanging fruit there, and a couple of those things. The $200 is absolutely crazy. Lamming had spent that before he's even gone out on a big night, Richie Lamming. It's good. It's good to see the good horses are back. Eternal Flame was a really big win yesterday. Much more suited around the sort of the $12 and $1,400 metre mark. But it's good to see the quality starting to get through those fields. Today's show is going to be an absolute ripper. Donny is back in the winners' circle. And then I think he got one on the chin at Walt's home dunghill when Call died, just sort of maybe peaked on a run there late. Calibus, I tell you what, bookies are completely best. That one got beat. That's probably as sick as you get. Just don't know how that sort of happens. Randwick this Saturday looks an absolute beauty. No rain, so there could be some big form reversals here. A lot of horses coming first up. Nico, you got the chocolates. Second act was too strong at Geelong. You got the Vane Stakes at Caulfield, and that's
Jay Bott was too strong.
Yeah.
Jay Bott
Was a good ride, wasn't it?
Well, look at the race. Look at the figures they returned. He won the race, riding the bloody thing. Geez, a good rider, that bloke. He won on my horse a while ago. He's a great rider. Can we talk about J Carr before we move on?
Well, yeah. Let's talk about J Carr. It's interesting, isn't it?
I was reading the thing this morning. Guess that said the stewards are presented a 270-page brief on that little indiscretion she's had. 270 pages. Great
like
to
a
see
waste
their
of paper.
resources are being used well. 270 pages. Like, seriously. Unbelievable. Like, anyway.
Surely copy and paste a few of them from other ones.
It's unreal. Like, and she's contesting the bet. And good on her that, it doesn't fall into the racing into disrepute. She's pleaded not guilty to racing into disrepute. And seeing Matthew Sterling's the man. He like Damien Shields, they're the two go-to guys for any of these issues that the jockeys and the trainers and that go to use in front of the VRT. So anyway, she's been put back and she gets to ride the carnival. But and her silly mate, the greyhound bloke, he got a month. Like he got a month.
Did he?
Just for bringing greyhound into disrepute. So he got a month.
It's not hard to join the dots here. It's been pretty, well, you'd probably know, Nico, having been on course a lot, but J Carr's, I guess, the centre of this pilot that they're doing. They're trying to get this Drive to Survive or some, behind-the-scenes sort of racing documentary. Andrew Jones mentioned it on his interviews with SEN Track with Gareth Hall, that they're going to get the pilot out and going and see if there's much interest. I know that Channel 7 are sort of somehow involved, but Jamie Carr's all over this documentary. It's going to get launched over the next couple of weeks or months or sometime during the spring. So I'm tipping she's had a fair bit of support behind her to issue this legal challenge. And it's no surprise to me, DK, if they're trying to bamboozle and draw it out, this would just be a bit of a parade and a bit of a show to try and make sure that they can push it and quash it before spring, because it's just another, like as Walt says, there's rules for some people, and that you got the strapper, and then you've got J Carr, who is a part of this TV show, so Channel 7 or someone else is going to finance her.
It'd have to be one rule for one and one rule for all. Like if it was, and this is not any indiscretion, if this was the bloke who gets two rides at Jarks Lux or something, or J Carr, both doing the same thing, blah, 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 both the same indiscretion. Who is he bringing racing into dispute, or is her because someone leaked it to the Herald Sun, it gets on the front page of the paper, blah, blah, blah. It wouldn't be with him, but he's done the same, so committed the same offence, so to speak. You know what I mean, Nico? Like, I can see why they're going to contest it, absolutely. So it'd be interesting to see what happens a few months. I mean, it's not till November 13 now. We've got to sit it right out, but absolutely, I reckon it's should be one rule for all. If you're going to employ that. So
the embarrassing part is that they pushed it back to November 13.
Yeah,
they should have just tackled it straight on, given her a $1,000, $5,000, $20,000, $50,000 fine, whatever it was. See you later, and then that would have been less embarrassing for everyone.
But if she has it cops a month, at the end of the spring carnival, I was probably going to have a break anyway.
But that's it. That's where that'd be even more embarrassing.
Well, and didn't Ollie get when he had his one bet? Didn't he get a golden passage? And we've just seen Tom. Again, Tom Berry's just been welcomed back with open arms.
Yeah, well. You can see the trainers have got no issue with Jamie Carr, though. Like the book she's just walked straight into on Saturday is incredible. So no one in the industry's got any issue.
I think when she got buckled, Golden Paddy tweeted, he said something, just makes you love her even more. That's what he said. I agree.
She has a crack. Anyway, again, it's just crazy inconsistencies here. There's some rain about, so Caulfield track will play pretty interestingly. As is on the Pine again. Notice his horse scratched last week, Friday at Geelong, and now it's in again today at Seymour, drawn wide. So this show will be done and dusted. So fingers crossed he gets a result. I think he's just waiting to whack it one more time before he gets back on the show. See You in Heaven. I found a little winner there, but Madam Pomeroy, I sort of tipped it out last week. I was in absolute coma in Cairns watching that one just get nutted. and good old Nico's Pericles got the job done. So I spat my young Henry's beer all over the couple of people in the crowd.
He definitely got there early enough. He kicked. He's just a nightmare of a horse, Pericles. He goes around 6-4. He's got enough to always be there. He's got speed. He's got enough of everything. And the one day you don't want him to stick his nose out, the dog sticks his nose out. But, far out. She's been torturous to us, Madam Pomeroy.
That's all I want to say about it. I've got punting form again. Bugger, I'm going to go to Randwick and I'm going to declare one as a style for Azza. Could be the last time I get to do a segment.
Randwick.
So, yeah, in the big race, I'm gonna tackle you, DK. The Group 1. I've got an absolute moral. TopSport Steamers. They struck at Moonee Valley last Saturday. Twin Perfection. It was $6 in, but there was some scratchings there.
Good horse to punters that horse lately. Tell you what.
Big offence, Jobby.
He started like $1.60 on the totes. Yeah, SP $2, $1.60 on the totes. So maybe if you're DK, his mates here have had a bit of a fill up.
TopSport is the major sponsor of the show, owned and operated for almost 40 years. Make sure you give them a go. Spring's starting to fire up. Still one of the last bookies to bet Top Flux. So if you get your money in early, you can get the best price through the call for the Metro meets. Nico, as I said, Caulfield, there's 5 mil Thursday today, and then there's 7 mil on a Friday. So it may chop out a little bit, and tipping it's been pretty cold lately. The lads been sending me some pretty dire messages, so the dew and the cold weather will make it stay in the soft range, I would have thought.
Yeah, cold in the morning. The days are getting good down here, so I think that's going to help the tracks dry out significantly. And I think just looking from a sort of future point of view, it sounds like we're going to have a pretty dry spring. So, which hasn't been the case here in Melbourne for a while. We've had some real wet springs, sort of Caulfield Cup time, and all those sort of big races have usually been underwater, a few of them events. So hopefully we get good track racing for the rest of the spring. I think Saturday, I would sort of assume maybe a 5 or a 6, at probably a 6 at worst. And then if it's any worse than that, it's probably a bit of carnage. But 5 or a 6, I think, is more than manageable.
Outstanding. Let's have a look at race 3. This is your first bet, and Varvia is the favourite here in the Catnax Jewel is $1,200, benchmark 78. It's $4.20 in from $4.60. Climbing Star 5, Calico Jack $6, Holy Man $6.50, Ranting $10, Nilla is $10. Do Your Punk 15, Strip Back is 18, and then Shove Over 20. That's the main chances there. And Ranting's the horse that you like here. Third up, Nico.
Yeah, I thought it was a tough day. Like, I didn't want to get too attached to any sort of thoughts too early in the card because I think the yard's going to be very important on Saturday. So I thought Ranting was probably a horse that can be a big improver. Here he is out the back in the Nick Ryan colours, pretty much last, just sort of dodging and diving off heels there. He had a really good jump out leading to this campaign. His first up run was in a race shape where I don't think really suited him, ridden close to the speed. Here he sort of gets back. If he had had more luck, I think he would have been right in the finish. The winner's Benedetta. William Thomas sort of finishes in front of him. I think this could be a bit of a good lead up for this race. You know, Varvia is coming through what you would probably call inferior form, through the fillies form sort of throughout last season, and has to take on a pretty strong sort of race here. Climbing Stars jumped out well, but she was a bit in the wilderness last campaign. Calico Jack's probably a 1,400 metre horse, and then you're kind of left with Holy Mans, who might want a bit further as well. So there's a few of those horses that have question marks for either first up, whereas Ranting, third up, gets back to, I think he's only ever won 2 races, and they've both been at Caulfield. So I think Nick Ryan, third up, showed something there last start, you know, jumped out while leading to this campaign. I think it is proper D-Day for him, and I could see him run a good race at around $10. And I thought the other horse was in that replay as well in the green, Shove Over, really sort of peaked second and third up in his campaign, and probably just not his sort of race shape there, first up 1,100 metres. D-Lane sticks, barrier 11. I thought he could be a sort of on-pacer that could sort of give you a bit of a side at 20. So happy to have something on Ranting, and maybe have a look at Shove Over for your exotics if you're looking to play that way.
Holy Mans is probably the only horse that jumped off the page at me. I think it fell in the Australian Guineas and its form was all right, and it could put itself into the race, but barrier 13 is a bit sticky. But you think it might want further, Nico?
Yeah, I think he's in time, probably a mile. I think you want a 1,400 metre maiden at Horsham from memory, or a 1,200 metre maiden. So he's always looked like a horse that's sort of going to get out over much further. So, yeah, and from the draw, he just might be in a bit of a sticky spot. But Mark Zahra, I think he's a man we sort of found a few on yesterday. I think he's the one you really want to find at the moment. So couldn't knock anyone tipping Holy Mans.
Things change quickly when those good backs, the good jocks come back, don't they? Just notice even market moves with D-Lane. A couple of things, those New Zealand horses he rode at Bendigo the other day were just smashed.
Yeah.
You know, and he's going there, and Zara's back, and then so when those good jocks when they come back, things change really quickly, and you just got to tune right back into them. And Zara showed yesterday how he's just top draw, you know.
Yeah, just threw extra 2 over the line. Falcon and Malta the same. Like, was probably given a bit of an average ride last start, went too slow.
Way too slow, yeah. But
Zara just kept it up to its work and just kept it running. So, he's a mass, especially in Melbourne, sort of when he goes on horses that are inside the market for the first time, the stats are deadly. So, he's definitely one to look at. Unfortunately for that stat, he's rode Holy Mans before, so that's not really applicable there.
He's also
I like
good.
that Ranting's back to 1,200. I think that's what I noticed. I thought he had a good place out behind Benedetta, but I was worried about him back to 1,100. Now I like him back up to 1,200.
Yeah, complete D-Day for him.
We used to run these stats, and I think it was Mark Zara in fields of 8 horses or less at Caulfield was absolutely deadly. So if you get a small field with Zara at Caulfield, it might be a little system that you can
Would
run.
be a small sample, wouldn't it?
Hey?
Small sample though, wouldn't it?
Still, mate, it's work.
Yeah.
It's just auto bet, jobby.
Lovely.
Anyway, there's one for you, DK. You can just run one of these
Love auto
magical
bets.
systems. Yeah. Caulfield Race 9 is the Quay Clean PB Lawrence Stakes. Not sure what Quay Clean is, but they must have a packet full. This is a really interesting one. $2.50 they bet Mr. Brightside DK's horse, now into $1.90. Is that real life? Is this really happening? Tuvalu is
What is
$6.
it? When was this? Wednesday. Happened on Wednesday.
Yeah, gosh, $1.90. I'd rather back the Matildas. Last night, I don't even know the result. There's no way I could take $1.90 on Mr. Brightside.
You backed
It's not going to start at $1.90.
I know I was in England.
You backed England.
I was on England. I'm on England.
Were you trying to throw off that you're a real Australian and you would have rather back? You backed England.
Well, this is just crazy. I can't believe the price. $1.90. Tuvalu is $6. Nico's horse, Attrition $8. Pinstripe $14. Aegon $16. El Bogga Dogga $21. There he is. D Lane for old Mr. Waller $21. King Magnus $21. Uncle Bryn $21. Western Empire $26. Pounding $26. Buff River $34. And you can get pretty much any price you please for the rest here. We're not going to show any replays. A lot of these horses are first up, but I probably should have played the jump out or the trial of Mr. Brightside. Went like a rocket, they say, Nico.
Yeah, he was sort of asked to do a lot. He was given a real searching gallop, especially through the line. So I don't know. It's not really the Mr. Brightside MO to sort of come out and really set the trials and jump out scene a lot. But he's given a pretty searching gallop. $1.90 does seem very short. No, he's a class horse, and he probably only has to, rate to what he did sort of first up last campaign, and even when he won this race last year. Albeit, I think he beat a lot weaker field last year, and you could have taken $3. So that just shows, how far he's come in the space of a year. Terrific end to the season, winning the Doncaster and the All-Star Mile. I couldn't personally take $1.90, but if I was tipping in the race, he's probably the one you'd put on top.
Yeah,
I think the value runner might be Pinstriped. I thought he's probably trialled the best of the horses. He did sort of race throughout the winter, and so he has a bit of residual fitness. But I thought for a horse who's trialled against, some really sharp 1,000-metre, sort of 1,100-metre horses, over 800, he's been right there in the finish. Draws 5, this sort of time last year. I think he ran second to I Wish I Win, sort of ran a big race in the Toorak. So he's good enough, and I think he's probably in a good spot of ever to sort of do something from Barrier 5. If I had to sort of tip one, it'd probably be him. I think if Attrition had a run, and they say put him in the first 4 here, I think he'd be really hard to run down. But from Barrier 12, first up, the goals seem to be the Memsey and the Maccabi Diva. He might just be there for a run as well. So Mr. Brightside class horse, could see him getting beaten. Don't want to take $1.90, but he's probably your most likely winner.
Just a question of price. That's what I thought. Yeah, he's
your horse, DK.
He's mine. Yeah, and everything you said's correct. He looks the winner. It's just a question of price.
Yeah.
Wednesday sharpshooters can't get on quick enough, so the bookies all wind him in because everyone's going to take him in their multis, and who knows how much. Wouldn't have been much money, but he's. I love it. It was an old Mark Reed thing. Out well, back well. He's gone out winning those. He went out winning the Doncaster, in the All-Star Mile, and we saw how he improved last prep. So, and the other thing is the tempo. They're going to put it on for him. He's just, he's just going to, he's going to love that bit of tempo that's on. Plenty of fast horses in this race. So, it's just a question of what price you're happy to take.
I think Aegon's a great bet, probably each way. I thought he was really good in the CF4. He only got beaten 1.3 to Jacquino, Gentleman Roy and Nugget. Those horses were all up and roaring. He's only got beaten 3 lengths to Alligator Blood, Mr. Brightside. and I'm thunderstruck in the futurity. And then I guess he's been beaten 6 lengths and then 4 lengths in the All-Star Mile and the Champions Mile. So this would be the one race that he could sort of pick off early, and I think he's the horse off that just a little bit shorter break. Don't mind him coming back from overseas. Sort of brings a lot of these horses on, and $16 looks a big price, and just really wary to see what Chris Waller does with El Bogadon. $21 seems a big price for that sort of jockey and trainer combo, especially first up. I wouldn't put it past him to run a massive race. And I do recall he ran a big race up in Sydney, I think maybe Fresh, or maybe he didn't. Maybe it was just Moonee Valley first up. I think, was it Ollie slaughtered it in the Cox Plate?
Yeah, he wasn't the same horse last prep, was he? So
maybe he's a wet tracker.
Keeping an eye on, that's for sure.
So they're the 2 horses outside of the market that I thought could surprise. I'm not sure really what to do with Tuvalu, but I think he's going to probably
Lindsay put the slows on it.
Put the slow, yeah. He said, yeah. He said next,
not to back it, pretty much. So.
Yeah, he's worried about how prepping up down there. So how prepped up.
It's maybe better.
So that's why I said you're nearly a pen job, wasn't it?
Yeah, the way he was talking, but
like he's been, I've heard him be wrong before because he does play glass half empty, very conservative, but it is the $6 second favourite, so you get rid of it. You can see why people are probably charging another $2.50 and $2.20.
We got to be finding better chances.
Smells like a corporate. I think you're sort of on the right track. Corporate shortening it up, but I can't see any smart person stepping into $2.50. That horse. So I think it's a corporate shortening it up.
Yeah.
No smarts betting early and with this weather coming.
No, not a Caulfield first up.
Just those blokes who can't help themselves got to pull the trigger as soon as the markets go up.
They basically gave that horse 2 or 3 barrier trials to start its prep last prep when all the good horses were around. So now that they can see an opportunity to sort of win maybe a Cox Plate, I'd be very surprised if they even care about winning this race. If it wins, it wins.
Anyway, price, no value here. I'm happy to lay. Lay of the day from me. I'm going to put my pills on the line. Caulfield race 10 is the next one, and it's a benchmark 100 over 1,600 metres, and it's Barrakeely, Barclay Square, however they say it, 440, Deny Knowledge, $6, Right You Are, $6.50, Sabak, $6.50, Jimmy the Bear, 7, Jernapel, 10, He's the Real Deal, down at 53 kilos, minus the 3 kilos with the informed Tatum Bull, I'm going to say, $16, Ulysses, 17, and Frankie Pino, 20, Smoke and Romans, $26, and then you got horses like Bear Story, Full of Sincerity, and some tricky little imports that are first up that are knockout odds that you probably need to just keep real close tabs on those late flux with those sort of horses. But Barrakeely Square is the horse that Nico thinks is the one to beat, despite drawing barrier 18 in the Lime.
The hope is probably the fence is off by now and you want to be getting out to the wider lanes anyway if it is wet. So I think he is a real sort of watch and act and see how the track is playing, and whether you do pull the trigger or not. I probably won't be backing him till, wants to see him in the yard. But saying that, I thought he paraded very well first up. He was pretty much there to go. I think he'll take a little bit of improvement out of that run. I thought this was a huge effort, sort of under the race shape. Leader dominated race. He flies home there in the green. You'd think he'd be a horse that's suited stepping up in distance. It's just the barrier. He's got to overcome that draw, but I think he can probably back in his class a little bit here. His sort of figure that he put down winning the Amy Vars, beating Pericles and Virtuous Circle. He started favourite in the Caulfield Guineas. Albeit that 3-year-old form probably doesn't look super strong, but it looks pretty strong for sort of open class, and he's against a lot of horses that are first up here. So he's had the run. I think it's just McNeil sort of plotting the right path if you can give him an absolute peach and sort of find some cover and weave his way through the field, and has to do it that way, or if the fence is off and just sits wide and he's too good for him. I think if he had drawn a gate, he would have been a lot shorter than 440. It's just that barrier. I think Sabak's probably the big danger. First up out of Sydney, gets Damien Lane going on. The first up run was okay behind Barbie's Fox, but you'd think he'd be an improver. I thought it was a pretty easy race to sort of say they were the 2 real key chances, and then the rest of them might just be there for a bit of a look around for maybe a naturalism or the Heatherly or those kind of races. I think Frankie Pino can improve, but Maddie Lloyd's still a bit scary there. So I would think one of Berkeley Square or Sabak is probably a winner there.
If I've got something chasing for me for my life, I want it to be Sabak.
Oh, that's a good rap.
It's a nice cat. It is a cat.
Oh,
maybe going to Melbourne will help it, but it's a cat.
Oh, it's a cat.
It is a cat. Yeah, absolute cat.
You were joking, where?
No, but I want it chasing me. If I've got something in front and I'm for my life, I want Sabak, the one coming out after me. It's a milk drinker.
I'm confident Berkeley Square because I'm sick of Jimmy the Bear. I'm sick of it. I've been following it. It's in the bin. Sabarks, there you go. So we'll go to Berkeley Square, Nico.
Yep, second up, Sabark, Berkeley Square. They just look the two that can just be right there. So the rest of these horses are either a bit beaten up or first up. So one of them probably is your winner. But I agree. Well, he's a bit of a cap, but this is a race shape. D Lane, like he probably just gets every chance.
I thought he was going to be a really good horse, to be honest. I thought he put a couple of really good performances in, but his last few are just pack chases. They're just weird. Yeah, he's been in good spots and he just doesn't ever look like winning races. He's something's
changed. There was a huge spruik on him early, wasn't there? I remember a few people tipping him up big time last spring and he didn't really sort of live up to it.
He put in some like superhuman efforts where he just like did huge work in hard run races and just kept coming, and then all of a sudden he'd get cold sits and he couldn't put races away. So I don't know what's changed with him, but maybe going back to the Melbourne Way or going the Melbourne Way might spark him up, but I think he needs something to spark him up.
Yeah, this race is a bit confusing for me. I wanted to try and find the 9 like you boys, but maybe a horse like Bear Story could be this could be a bit of a target or a pick-off race for it from the Clinton McDonald yard. It's only beaten 6 in the Blamey Stakes and I guess beaten 7 in the Australia Cup. Some of these imports take a little while to get used to, but at $31 and $6.50 the place with Benny Mellum. I know that you're not in the Benny Mellum camp at the moment. Nico, you think he's a bit away off with the fairies or just not 100%?
Can't get it right.
Yeah,
his recent stats
what's happened?
They're a bit plain considering how good a jockey he is, but it's probably not the time of the year where you expect the guns to be at their best sort of throughout the late winter. So no, we're putting full faith in him with ranting, so hopefully he gets on the board there for us and we'll be off and gone.
He's got a bit of Nash about him, Mellum. When he needs to switch on or wants to switch on,
yeah, true.
It's there.
Yeah.
It's there.
Well, Uncle Clinton loves to go to Ben Mellum for when they want to have a bet, so just be very careful the flux on this horse. I think there's about 30s out there. And maybe in the know with Snow. He's got a runner flying on the limbs in there Saturday, but this could be the one that's set up for a bet. $31, as short as 20s out there. Bear Story could be the fly in the ointment there looking outside the square. Okay, I think that's it for Caulfield, but Nico will be there, hopefully 45 minutes or an hour before, just so we can get settled in. The food's better at Caulfield, which is good, but you need his Telegram service 3 to 5 minutes before each race, $25 a week. So now is the time to buy it. He's going to be there all spring, and then he'll be still there when the other whips are cracking on that 3-year-old fillies race that they've put in the back end of the carnival at Caulfield, which is something that Peter Moody likes, but other people think is no good. So maybe Andrew Jones is right. You can't please everyone all the time, but good to see that they've parked the mic'd up jocks just as a little side punch there. So just goes to show if everyone stomps their feet, sometimes you get a result and get the action. So it's
see the clip going around yesterday with the jock behind the gates where he's get in the fucking gate, you fucking goat or something. It was awesome. It was awesome. Like, yeah, get them mic'd up. Actually, if you secretly mic'd up a few of the races, it would go viral. It might bring the people to racing. Just don't tell them the mics are there, and we'll get the real deal. We don't want the PG version. We want the RX R plus 18.
I think that's what racing is too afraid of sometimes. I think a lot of the people at the top that make the decisions just think it's,
Look at the way we're treated. They honestly think everyone who backs a winner is cheating.
Yeah.
So if they put us on TV, they'd be worried that we're getting, there's you're ringing the jockey to make sure he's like, he's fucking serious. We're sitting in front of a computer for 80 hours a week trying to work out what these little 2 foot tall people are trying to do in a race. So we're trying to work out what they're thinking, get inside their head and then put our own money on it. Whereas they think we're all sitting in a room, it seems that way, that's how they treat punters. Like they're too scared to champion us for that very reason that they think it's all corrupt, and they're the ones running the game. So what hope have we got?
And they're the ones that are in charge of integrity. It's like it's the best, most intriguing puzzle of all time, and there's a brand new puzzle on every single race, as Mark Lambourne said. So yeah, it is mind-boggling. But I do think they worry about all this riffraff, but then everyone's up in arms.
And they're pushing all the colour out of racing as well for the same reason. It's the trainers, it's us, it's everyone. So
beyond belief. And then the one they try and pin up, she's end up caught at a party.
That's
now,
quite funny.
And that's just the irony of all of it. Anyway, I'm stepping in for Azza, so this is a real Azza thing to do. And I'm going to just creep into Walt territory because there's no rain forecast in Sydney, and it's Randwick. So
no rain. There's 10 mil tomorrow, 8 mil today.
Bull, you're just saying that.
Yeah, there is, mate. Have a look. Go to yr.no. Don't go to your crap BOM. Go to yr.no, mate.
That's 1 mil and 1 mil. Mate, you're revving me up.
No, I'm not. I swear to God. 10 mil tomorrow, 8 mil today. I'm not joking.
Bull.
Swear to God, go to yr.no. Don't go to that crap,
What?
and
I
then
don't
you'll
even know
see.
what-
But anyway,
what-
it's heavy at the moment, so it's going to be slow at best.
Is it?
At best.
Okay, so mine, I could be a little bit out here, but I still think this is the horse to beat. It's the Winx Stakes. It's Zaki's the favourite here, 440, Fangirl 480, Think It Over 950, Golden Mile 10, Moanga 12, King Colorado's an interesting one, 21 into $12. All those owners and the people that backed it, Walt included, have got a hatful and probably just happy for it just
No
to go
jockey
back
down
around.
on it yet.
Huh?
No jockey, but they don't have to put a jockey down it because it's first emergency.
50.5 kilos, $12 there. Osipenko, $13. Princess Grace, 14. And then you got Lindemann, 15. Hinge, 16. Attrition probably goes to Melbourne. And then you got Major Beal, $26. Douay, $26. And then Montefilia as it's the first ever start for the Waller Yard. Horse I like here. Probably don't want it any worse than a soft. It's better on top of the ground, but this is the last time it was first up, and it's Fangirl back on the inside. Don't think the inside was the place to be. Nico's horse is the winner of the race, Animo. Thank God it's gone. You've got Hinged out in front as well. But this is a bomb fresh horse, Fangirl. I do read that it hasn't won in 504 days, and that's something that I pay absolutely no attention to. I don't really care. Some of the races that she's been running in, she was second in the Golden Eagle to I Wish I Win. And,
Stiff as a board.
Pardon?
Should have pissed in. Yeah,
It
stiff
should
as
have
a
pissed
board.
in there. The Apollo Stakes, that was the one that we just showed. Really stiff there. Only beaten a length. The Chipping Norton beaten a length. Beaten 0.4 against Animo and the George Ryder. So a strong run, 1,400 or 1,500 metres, is right up her alley. The biggest concern for this runner is wet. So if it gets too heavy, I don't really want to be on. But at 480 with James McDonald riding her the first time since the Carbine Club. So I try and figure what Waller is doing out all the time. I thought I nearly got it right with Madame Palmery last week. When Waller and the market sort of went up and he had no jockeys nominated, I thought J-Mac could get back on this horse. And luckily for me, here he is. So I think Barrier 11's perfect for this mare. She gets back, so she needs clear air. Inside draw would be a big problem for her, just traffic-wise. But I think at $4.80, I think she's an as a get-on. I think she's the horse to beat. Hopefully, the bomb's right, and I don't even know where Walt's steering me with this weather. I'm going to have to take that one offline, but if it's a heavy track, I'm Cactus because she needs it rock hard.
Yeah, she's probably
Or
traffic.
soft.
Traffic's going to be her biggest issue, no matter what. She's going to be back near last. That's a problem, and there's just so many horses going to be there. Maybe scratchings. It's diabolical, isn't it? There's it's a Group 1 for $1 million, which number one kicks in the premium turnover tax, which is quite coincidental. But you got a field of how many? I don't know. I think it's 18 max or something like that. Every one of the horses, except for Golden Mile, is 70 days or plus since it had a run, and Golden Mile basically didn't have a run, but obviously has had
isn't
something.
that the hurdle?
Every horse in the race is first up, literally, except for Golden Mile. So it's crazy. It's a Group 1, but it's just basically a barrier trial for 90% of these horses. Fangirl obviously trying for its life, better suited than most. Can see where you're going with it, but it's just it's just a race that I'll be watching and treating as a barrier trial. I thought Montefilia was probably the most interesting horse in the race at 25 to 1. Just a horse that could improve out of sight, goes well fresh, and trialled up really nicely a couple of times. Major Beal's also interesting at $31 a horse. It's it's probably going to be fitter than most of these, going to head forward, and I thought he's a horse that's not a big type that'll be far more forward than most of these horses at $31. They were the two horses I could spec and if you come down the outside and beat me. But I thought Princess Grace trialled enormous. Gate 1 was the worry, and Preble. But I think I like your thinking. Drier the better, absolutely, because if it comes down to a turn of foot, she could give him 6 at the furlong and probably still get over the top of most of these horses. It's an interesting race.
Didn't want to be on Zaki, 9-year-old first up, even though he goes well, I guess, track and trip, all those sort of things. But I agree with Princess Grace, looks wound up. Osipenko will be dead as a doornail. It's a shame Nash isn't on that one. King Colorado. I
don't know what to do with him.
Well, it wasn't really a vintage J.J. Atkins.
It was a nothing race. That was the reason why he was such a great bet, because there was nothing really in the race.
Yeah.
The horse that won he won the race. There's just, you don't know what he's capable of. Again, so you're taking $10 him, I get 50.5 against, you're getting 25's Montefilia. You're getting, I don't really understand the move for it, but Yeah, he's an untapped horse on the way up, but what's he getting set for? You would think he'd be having a barrier trial. I don't know, unless they've identified this race as a good target race to try and win.
Knockover
The Group 1 with,
1400.
maybe. I don't know. That would be smart because he's coming off a shorter run than most of them as well, isn't he? He's coming off the Brisbane Carnival, so it'd be a genius training performance to get this horse to win this race first up. It'd be an excellent effort, and good luck to the guys.
Thoughts on Golden Mile last time, Nico?
Yeah, he's a fascinating runner here because I heard James Cummings on the radio this morning. He said the horse is completely fine coming out of that, so it hasn't sort of taken any backward steps given the interference he copped there. So he is the horse that's had the, in quotation marks, first up run. So yeah, I thought this is probably a good race for a horse like him. Zaki's definitely in the game, trialled pretty well against Shinzo, so he looks like he's there ready to go. And then Fangirl obviously trialled well also, so I would have thought it's between Zaki and Fangirl. King Colorado's sort of figures and form just don't really stack up enough for mine to be taking $12 in a Group 1 when you can sort of back, Communist, Lindemann, Osipenko, who sort of have that good Doncaster form. So I'd much rather be on them. It's sort of double the price, a few of them, and back King Colorado. But looks like a good a day as ever for Fangirl to be winning there. Actually gets a really good setup with James McDonald going back aboard. So, I'm with the Cerise.
Did we play that trial, the trial next to Extremely Lucky? We might just run this one.
Tomorrow. I just want to shout out to Richard Callender for the quote of the year when he came up with that race, that tragic thing, and he said that Big Parade was going to be winning before the tragic thing happened.
Before it fell apart.
Yeah.
So here in the Cerise, this is Fangirl trialling, and she's absolutely bolting, but everyone's sort of circle jerking around Extremely Lucky on the outside. But I'm saying that
it is a 900-metre horse.
Yeah, I'm saying that this trial of Fangirl is absolutely enormous for a horse.
Is that name dropper in front? No. So it's the dynamic colours.
Went like it. Went like it. So there you go, Fangirl. So let's all pray for no rain, and we can just back the truck up as a style. Puntingform.com.au. That is what I use. I absolutely swear by it. I can just pick myself up and go from Eagle Farm to Adelaide back into Waltz country, and I can crunch out the form quick stick. So make sure to try puntingform.com.au and give it a spin. Randwick Race 5 is your next puzzle here, J-Dubs, and that's why I showed the Extremely Lucky trial. Everyone's seen it now, and it is $2.80 favourite here for K-Mac. Obviously, James McDonald probably couldn't get that weight. Colino is the second pick here, $3.60 for J Carr. Bonus, not just a horse that we've all backed here before, $4.40. Dragonstone, $9 in the Joe Pride yard. And then Argentia, I thought she was really good first up, $10. You called at $16. Rocketing by $18. And then Fender, $19. And I might as well quote Skylab at $51 there. But Colino carried the 60 kilos first up, Walt, held up in the Star Thoroughbreds colours, just in behind the leaders there.
Yeah, so a horse that I think I've got a pretty good handle on, as in I think it's a 1,200-metre horse. This was 1,300 first up, which was not ideal, but they absolutely walked, which certainly played into this horse's hands. Gets held up a few times and shows how strong it can be late. They put in a 1,400 last week, and it come up sort of favourite. I was keen for it to bet around it there, but I think they've pulled the right rein, holding the horse up and running it in this 1,200-metre race. Obviously, Extremely Lucky looks like a nightmare of a horse, but we've only seen him sort of stretch past 1,000 and perform okay. And now you're talking about on a soft track, first up 1,200 off, reportedly a set up.
Bit of a sniffle.
Well, that's if, who knows?
That
Alentia race is probably the race we should have talked about when you're talking about weird things with the Waller camp, because allowing a trainer to come out on the Thursday, Friday, say one horse is going to be scratched, and then the other one goes around, and anyway, then whatever. We'll talk about that at another time, I'm sure. But if he's coming first up off a setback, 1,200 metres on this track, I've got to side with Colino. There's absolutely no speed in the race. Mystifying booking of Dylan Gibbons on Bonus Notches, and no knock on Dylan, but to put a no-claiming apprentice on a horse this promising first up with 58.5 kilos in a small field when you've got probably 6 or 7 like high-class jockeys in the room, makes absolutely no sense to me. But again, good luck. So I thought it trolled okay. I just think Colino's just got the huge jump on these horses fitness-wise. 53, I hope Jamie Carr just rolls forward. I think the horse could nearly lead the race. That's how embarrassingly slow the tempo looks on paper, and the further this horse more forward it is, the more control it gets, the harder it's going to be to run down. Hopefully she sort of is the first to go, not to last, and makes it a strong last 600, and I think it's going to be in the finish with 53 on its back. It's just a bomb-proof horse that just runs 1200 super strong. So they're going to want to be good to beat it, and I think the only way they beat it is to out-sprint it if Extremely Lucky was on its back and they walked. But otherwise, I think she'll just about win. You called it was probably the horse I thought was the other value, the other go-forward horse. It's coming back 1400 to 1200 off a 42-day break. It's just going to be on speed, and $16 seems a big price for a horse that's hard fit that's going to be up there as well.
I thought that Argentia, now it's in the Pride camp. Obviously, Joe Pride improves him. You like him. Everyone sort of loves him having these tried horses. I think he was a little bit unlucky, or she was a little bit unlucky first up, Argentia, and now she's got wide draw, clear air. But did she just train off? They're going to drag.
He's not a again. If that was my horse, I'd be jamming it, and it'd be up on speed. And I think you're right. It'd be in the finish, but they'll be more likely to ride the horse to its pattern, I would imagine, and then you've got to try and sprint past some horses that are going to be running some crazy sections home, I would imagine. Even if it is wet, I think they'll still sprint home pretty sharp here. So, yeah, if it was the old Joe Pride fourth up blinkers and change the tactics, I'd be with you. And I think he's got it. I'm just worried that Joe's got way too many horses now. I think everyone's caught the bug of Joe Pride tried horses, and he's been sent a lot of horses, and I know other stables have fallen into the trap of going from 40 or 50 to 100 and struggling to maintain the same sort of level. But Joe certainly hasn't shown that yet. I'm just a little bit concerned. And obviously the good horses are going to get a lot more attention than the others. But, I just worry when stables that are airborne grow too quick.
Too big, too fast.
It just changes all their routine, changes all their the way they do things.
Any thoughts down in Melbourne about the show county?
DK? No, he's tapped out. Extremely Lucky is an interesting runner. Like, obviously, he's trialled very well. Had the setback the other day. He has no 1,200 metre form, though. So, old DK Pearl, 1,000 metre island, that's him. Like, all of his form's over 1,000 metres. So, he's a weird runner to sort of run first up over 1,200. I would assume the move to Walla, the boom this horse has had on him, he's out there to put on a bit of an exhibition for an Everest slot, or I would have thought, or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's cranked right up. But 1,200's an interesting scenario.
And if he's kicking him off at 1,200, he's telling you he'll get further. That's what I. Sorry, Walt, but that's
no,
what
you're
I
right. I'm just saying, especially on 1,200, like 1,200 on wet, is like if it was a fast track, you'd probably throw the dice more than this. It's just a very weird placement.
He has looked like in a couple of his replays that he's been run off his legs though, like over those 1,000 metre races. So you guys are probably hit the nail on the head here.
I'm a big one for blank canvas too when they change stables. Bigger blank canvas. And if Waller's kicking him off at 12, he's saying, he can run 14 or 15. That's what he's telling me. If I see
you would want that. You would want that, exactly.
Yeah. So I'd blank canvas. I'm very wary. Yeah.
What about DK in your history? Like, so if this horse had a snotty nose when he woke up, let's pretend Waller's. Let's assume.
What you can do is run with what information you've got. Right?
Let's assume that Chris was going to run this horse on Saturday, and then Extremely Lucky's had a snotty nose when he's got out of bed on Saturday morning. What do you think about backing the horse the next week? Let's say scope clean during the week. What do you do there, DK? Do you
That's mate. The trainers care about these horses more than their own children. I tell you, like they just if there's something like the blood's out, if there's a little trickle, they are so reserved about running the animal. So if you trust a trainer like him, I wouldn't have any problem because they say, he had a little snotty nose, we hold him over. You hear them all the time say that little stone bruise or a little this or something, we hold him over next week because that's why he missed the run last week and all that. So I don't have any problems. The trainers are so good these days, and they dead set have these horses in cotton wool, and they notice all the little intricacies. So that's just it. They just err on the side of caution, because they don't want to waste runs.
I think if he's got a weakness in his stable, it's running horses over too far too quick.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
I'd be this would be the one I'd be happy to. If it beats you, it beats you. It's the one that I wouldn't be sick if it sprinted past me and I'd just say too good, and I would not be sick about doing my money on Kalina.
Any horse first up, like that. I don't mind. It's a watch and learn, and then you say, "Oh shit, he's a different horse." Geez, now how can I get some money out of him later in the prep?
You do the old do my ass Saturday. I have 1,000 on Colino on Saturday and 1,000 on extra lucky to win the Everest.
Because that makes sense.
It's a BZ or someone's spruiking it for the Everest or something like that, aren't they? Or isn't someone?
Well, it's trialling like it looks like an Everest horse, but even if I was on it in an Everest, I don't want it running in a 1,200 metre wet track first up if I'm on it in an Everest. But anyway, as you say,
like curls, curly.
Yeah, I won't be falling into
curly.
it. I do know that the little fella here, he played under nines, and the first week back from a sniffle, he could barely get near the footy. So I'm happy to give it a little bit of a wide berth. What?
You?
No, not me. Under nines.
Did you blow your calf because you got a cold? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe. There could be some correlation. Racingwatch.com.au if you want more of John's thoughts. He was the master punter for a reason, so you can either get it in the head noise version of the Discord, or if you just want Telegram and you're a busy man, you can just get the shortened version. Both are very good, and you'll back lots of winners.
It's not that short, but it's short. It's shorter. It is shorter compared to Discord.
I don't listen to many of the voice recordings, and
you don't?
No, it's too long.
15 minutes.
I've got to move on. I just want to bet and move on.
15 minutes at Canterbury. What about that? So, before you go, because I'll talk.
What's happened?
J-Mac. No, I think something that I have noticed, like J-Mac is out of control. The early betting, Bullock in the country is not as much, but and it is an after the race call. But I think every horse of his that he rode yesterday, Bravely, Sophia's Magic, Atlantic Ocean, High Plateau, Coriolis, I had it at least doubled, sometimes 4 times the price. I mark them, and I'm pretty conservative and I do it. Well, I'm not
Why
conservative,
do you think this is?
Well, I just think that these, whether it's the early teams or the corporates, have worked out that these early prices, they just literally just barrage him. So I think there is an edge at the moment in
not backing him.
Well, not back. Well, having a look if a J-Max in a shorty, having a good look around him, because a lot of them eased considerably, and a lot of them sort of didn't perform to especially the early price expectations. I'm not going to. Bravely's having its first start in a race and just didn't look right, so you put it aside. But a lot of the other horses just didn't have form to stack up with the madness of the shortness that J-Mac showing up at the moment. And that may be a combination of things like, you've got apprentices riding horses in the market that, it's hard for those syndicates and things to adjust to stuff like that. They'd be giving huge bonuses to J-Mac. So at the moment, I'd be looking around him. Obviously, Wednesdays is a better day to look around J-Mac than Group 1 days. He's obviously a different animal when it comes to the big races, but I think they're just way overplaying him at the moment.
Is he riding? You obviously watch it closer than me. So is he riding more conservatively since he's had the baby?
Oh no, not at all. Not at all. Aggressive. He's obviously not ridden as much. We haven't seen him as much. He had time off, but and I don't believe that he's. There's some riders that where if they're third the fence, they don't look to get out at carnival time. There's no doubt about that. I think he tries hard a lot. I think he's just being way overplayed for the ability that he obviously has. That they're just there's the gap that they've got between him and others is unrealistic.
All right.
It's probably true, but it's unrealistic when it comes to setting prices.
Well, take note, punters, and bet accordingly. Last week, Called Eye knocked up, and Donnie got Vodka Martini home. Let's have a look at what he likes on Saturday at Doomben.
G'day, boys. Head to Noonan this weekend. Looks a tricky card. I think we've done a couple of okay bets, so we'll dive into those. The best bet comes up in race 6, Rainbow Connection. I was on it last start. Thought it was a good thing, 1,000-metre race. He probably got too far back in a slow tempo, and he hit the line pretty hard. He goes up to 1,200 metres. He's 1 up to 13. He gets blinkers on. Inside draw looks nice. Stable's got a massive opinion, so I think Rainbow Connection around the $3 mark's a nice bet. Second best bet comes up in race 6, number 6. Race 4, number 5, Hell of a Deal for the Curry Camp. Flew home last start. Likes the track. Distance will suit. I love the apprentice jockey claiming 3, Bailey Wheeler. He goes well. So I might need it around the $5 mark. So they're the 2 best bets at Doomben. Race 6, number 6, and race 4, number 5. Cheers, boys.
Rainbow Connection and Hell of a Deal there. Looks like he's just been for a surf, old Donnie.
Muscle shirt, the big muscle shirt.
Huh? Something out of Gordo's. That's a Gordo play from the Racing Rant. Just gets there in the singlet. It's a bit much. I know I'm a pretty casual dresser on these things, but I don't know about the tank top or the singlet. I'm pulling.
Unless you're Vin Diesel, it's a big call, isn't it? The muscle shirt. Matty Dunn was interviewed midweek. I know it's a cosy time of year where they hammer it on Sky Channel, but he did put it like that was his massive push, and that was Rainbow Connection was his horse that he was like, if I drew a ticket tomorrow, it'd be the horse I'd be locking in. Not saying that that's the play to back it in the cosy, but usually when trainers talk like that, they've got their horse primed to go. So I think it'll be ready Saturday to try and sort of get itself into Cosy calculation. So blinkers on. I think he's found the right one, Donnie.
Oh, beautiful. Cosy. Let's hear about something other than the Everest. Sounds great. Caulfield, this is the TopSport Steamers. We'll have talking about TopSport, but this is the first one. Interesting runner here. And you guys will remember this runner from our Gold Coast Magic mainstream. Caulfield race 7, number 5 at Skirt the Law, $400 at $5. This is the horse that the boys liked, and then the races got cancelled, and then they bet around it on the makeup meeting. But this was the horse that John McLeod said, this will be the one that I wanted to take home, and this horse will just improve next preparation. So very interesting that it's bobbed up here in the Cazette Stakes. And
I've got a further question for Nico before he answers it.
Okay.
Golan, when they go to Sydney, they don't fall off they don't go down a step, they fall off a cliff. Is it the same in Melbourne? Does his horses, because they just, like that horse in Sydney last week was putrid.
We just don't see him as much. Like, he doesn't really come down here all that often, but I'd be happy to I think Tristan can bank the 400 there. That's confetti, I would have thought. Trialled awful, I thought. So all summer form, won a Magic Millions. I don't think she's any good.
There's your lay of the day.
Wow.
Yeah, I think, and you'll be in love with the horse I'm tipping when you see it, because I'm the same as he stood out in those 2-year-old races, and if he's
stood
come
out
on
in
at all,
Queensland, they're bloody
as a
hacks up
type.
there compared to down here.
As a type,
Wow.
well, so it's only you're comparing one humpers versus two, but still, it'd be interesting to see what you think of him in the yard.
Lay of the day.
Yeah,
I'm
yard,
up against.
get the yard. Oh.
Mr. Brightside. For Skirt the Law, we're going to polarise a couple.
That was actually
Really
his
popular.
opinion. That was off the top rope, bloody macho man Randy Savage, bang straight on the head. That was interesting from Nico there. That was awesome.
I didn't see it coming, to be
No,
honest.
it was awesome.
It's a real
He was wound
slap.
up for it. Yeah.
Tommy Henjack and John McLeod will be sending us hate mail. You watch.
Mate, Gary Portelli's got the third favourite. Jeepers creepers.
Morphettville race 8, number 14, Cheeky Bella, 100 at $17. I have not got to race 8 at Morphettville yet, but I think the nephew's a good multi-banker in race 1. Pretty obvious it's been $1.70 and $1.50 in.
Nico must think Charmstone's $1.01 chance here. Hang on, I'm going to talk about that one later. Yeah, okay.
Do you, Nico?
No, I didn't have a huge opinion in the Quizette. I thought it was a very even race. I thought Portelli's horse was right in it. I thought she trialled well.
It's a strong horse. Mm.
It'll be strong late, but I'd be hard against Skirt the Law. Just think she's got no form and no upside. So I thought the trial was pretty pox too. So.
What about this? This is
that
awesome.
was just me. Might have egg on the face after. Probably more than likely.
Trial up there or down
I
here?
don't care about the egg on the face. I just like the
Trialled
hammers.
up there. Was inside a horse. Asked for an effort. Didn't really do much. Didn't really find much through the line. So yeah, she's going to have to be bringing better than what she did sort of at the Magic Millions to be winning down here, and there's a fair chance she's not even improved or may have even gone backwards. So happily against.
Lay the place job.
Back to Adelaide, where no one cares about. Let's talk about Cheeky Bella.
Can't wait to watch the Golan the Golan video when it comes out, because Tony's very honest in his appraisals.
Trialled enormous, Colin. Trialled enormous, he says.
Yeah, he's very interesting what he says on wide draws. Anyhow, that's all I'll say, but you guys can figure out the rest. Randwick race 6 is the last steamer. It's race 6, number 6, and it's Fancy Man, $200 at $26 and now into 21. So that's Faulkner Park, Hosier, Desert Icon, King Frankel, Cleveland, Max Schnell, Bois de Jean, Bonnie Ezra, Military Mission. Does anything in that race turn you on?
Good
Probably not. 2,000 metre
Good luck.
Premier's Cup.
Faulkner Park will win, won't he?
Oh,
Why is and there's another one. Why is the dildo on it? I love the dildo, but why is there a non-claiming apprentice on Faulkner Park, 53 half?
him.
Like, what the heck are they doing?
I think they're putting him on it because he'll probably ride in the Metrop if they get in a lightweight. So
Why is he riding it in the Metrop?
Because they probably won't get
Why?
in with much weight.
So
You wouldn't
put a
have thought.
fighter jockey with a find Dean Yendall. Like, who are you putting on, Dylan Gibbons or Dean Yendall? Like, it's just not even close. And I love him. He's a good kid. He's on the way up. But what are you doing? Like, it just does my head in.
You're still copying some comments on the YouTube channel about Zach Lloyd, even though you.
So there's another
You've
one.
addressed
He's
it.
like, at the moment,
He's
he's a
dangerous.
provincial jockey at best. Zach Lloyd.
Is he still
in life? But he's got a claim. And you like statistically, you look at them. As soon as they lose the claim, their strike rate drops like 50%. It's not because they're a bad person or a bad jockey. They're still developing. It's just madness that you compare a jockey with a claim to losing their claim and staying in the city. There's like 5 jockeys in history that have been senior level as soon as they've finished their time. It's just not possible. It's just, and I'm not knocking them. It's just they are where they are at the moment. It's just crazy to not take advantage of senior riders when you can.
Shout out to the Gibbons and the Lloyd family. I know they
love
watch
them.
the show every week. It's great.
Yeah,
Got a couple
I love the dildo. He's one of my favourites.
You love the dildo. That might be the name of the episode.
What were we just talking about? Oh yeah, sorry, your other go back.
What's
Did
happened?
you see old mate put out you're talking about promoting women in racing? Golin's like nearly 40% of riders who use female jockeys. Shout out to the Hawks team. 400 runners, not one in the last 12 months. Not one female rider ever at any stage. And Golin's running at about 40%. I think Gay's about 15. It was an interesting it means nothing, but an interesting stat that someone put up today on Twitter.
Angela Jones rides terrific up in Queensland, but I think they had a winner yesterday, didn't they? Terra Star, was it?
That Terrastar was in
Was it
Melbourne.
Hawks? I don't know. They're very hard stable to catch.
Yeah, it went from that good race in
Sandy.
Sydney. It went from the
Sandy.
King of Naples form down to...
Yeah, beat
Down to
us on
Melbourne.
Blazero. $13. Just got us in the last ride. That's good.
The coat.
Yeah.
Jerry
He's never going
roaring
to
at
win.
it.
All right, I think that's about a wrap for the show. DK, you haven't had a look at Seymour? Anything at the Rat tomorrow?
No, the synthetic meetings have got very skinny. The back end of the season,
There's like 60 acceptors.
yeah. So I've had first look, I had second look, and then I said I'm not forcing it, not unless it jumps out to me. I'm not going to tip it to the punters. So sorry, Scooty. Another Warwick Nabil, but acceptances aren't out, so I haven't had a chance to do any form for them on Saturday. I'll be looking for P. Prushka up there. He's the man at Warwick Nabil, but sorry, Scooty, can't help you.
No dramas whatsoever. And I think Nico for the Syndicate's tipped out. I don't know if we'll get the show out. You might get the podcast version. Just Comanche North. If someone fast forward right to the end at race 6 today at a bit of an odds play.
Weeding.
Donna Scott.
Donna Scott, is it?
Yeah, trainer change.
Trying to change.
She's good, isn't she? She got a winner at Flemington or wherever it was the other day.
She did.
Give it strength.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I think we've got through the episode. That's a positive, and it's going to be absolutely sensational racing this Saturday. So make sure you join TopSport and give them a spin and back plenty of winners and avoid some of the other horses that we've absolutely put the pen through because we've been a bit aggressive on today's show, but that's how we like it.
Not many betting opportunities, but I can't wait for that Skirt the Law race. It's probably the race that I'm going to set the alarm for first. That's
Yeah.
gonna be
Now
good.
I'm horned up.
I
I'm
love
going to
it.
dig into the race
Yeah.
now.
Well, it's
I wasn't
normally trap
interested.
time, isn't it? All the horses resuming. This is sort of crossover form period and
Oh, yeah.
first up period. So it's normally meetings you tread warily, but won't
Big
stop
yard,
us.
big yard day for
Good, exactly. It is a
Big
good yard
yard
day.
day.
It is a good yard day because you see, first time looking at Skirt the Law, but a lot of horses.
All right. I'm off to Google Walt's magical weather app. I'm obviously
YR.no. You just got to change it from Swedish to English and then you're away.
goodbye.